All right, y'all, before we start, because some of y'all be tripping, under the advice of counsel, I got to add that the views, thoughts, opinions that are expressed on this podcast are mine and mine alone. They do not represent my employer. All right, let's go.
Because I was like, damn, do we really want to get into this discussion? Because if we get into this discussion right here, y'all.
What's up, y'all? We are back with another episode of Ridgemont4'sFinest-The Podcast. And today we are covering a topic that is near and dear, hits home for many of us educators, and that is being a parent and a teacher. Not only being a parent and a teacher, but being a parent and a teacher in the same damn district. So we know that that is a wild balance, and it's full of fine lines that we sometimes have to walk. But sometimes they got to be crossed. And so we are going to talk about that today. So I have some of my teacher friends here with me. So I got Angela. Angela's back. Angela's a fan favorite, guys. So we got Angela Davis that's back. And y'all know we call her Angela Davis because she is the revolutionary of the crew. What's up, Angela? Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
And we got my girl, Annalise Keating. We got Annalise Keating because, y'all, this girl is a school district in a hot minute. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And then we got Rochelle. Is it Rochelle? Rochelle from Everybody Hates Chris, because baby will tell you in a minute she don't need this shit. Her man got 2 jobs. So what's up? Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. And I think I know we are all teachers who at one point or another, maybe currently, maybe not currently, have children in the same district that we teach at. So we're going to get into that because that's an interesting side. So let's go ahead and get into it. So let's talk about how we manage the juggling act of being both a teacher and a parent at the same time, at the same school district or in the same school district, without you feeling like you are dropping the ball in either role. So whoever want to jump in and get started.
I think that it is very important to just remain professional. Like as a parent and a teacher in the same district with my student, I am definitely the parent first. I'm going to advocate for my student, but I'm going to do it in a professional manner so that the administrators and other teachers don't feel threatened by my approach.
Okay. All right.
This is Anna Rochelle. It's a little different for me. I'm very emotional. I love my kids, and I'm sure we all do. But it's very hard to have that distance, to think about the trajectory of your career, but also the trajectory of your kids' future with things. So it's really hard for me.
That makes sense.
I absolutely agree with Rochelle. That's a extremely fine line, and your emotions are high, and it's hard tethering that line of what can I say, what can I not say, because maybe I know this and I'm not supposed to know this, and I want to bring it up, but I can't. So it's extremely hard for me.
And I think I'm kind of the same way. I am very emotional, but I am still logical at the same time. And I think what bothers me the most, and we'll get into this later, is that you see as the teacher, from the teacher side, how parents advocate so hard for their kids and how once they do, everything, the gates of heaven open up for that parent. But if you dare open your mouth and try to advocate for your kid, it's kind of like, now I got to get a call from HR, or am I worried about HR when it's like, but everybody else does it. And, so that's kind of where I deal with. But moving on into advocacy, I think we've all had situations where we have had to advocate for our kid and been in situations where we wanted to advocate for them, but we felt our hands were tied due to the fact that we were employees. And so I just want to kind of talk about each one of y'all's different personal experiences. I know I have a few. I'm sure you have a few, but like think of the one that was the most major to you. I know you got a story, but one that was the most major to you in times that, it's like, all right, I can't do it. I'll go first to give y'all time to think about it. As many of you that follow me on social media right now know that I am currently dealing with a situation with my son who was suspended from school for a total of 12 days for defending himself in a fight. We talked a couple of weeks back about Texas and this whole mutual combat thing and how in many school districts, the self-defense or the thing of self-defense is non-existent. And so in so many words, if you are being attacked or if you are attacked or assaulted, you have to kind of the rule is basically to protect yourself as best you can or try to your best to remove yourself from the altercation, seek help. But the minute you fight back or the minute you swing back, even if it's in an effort to protect yourself, you are just as guilty as the person that attacked you, and you are facing the same or, same punishment. So I am in a position now where I've tried to have a conversation, and the conversation didn't really go the way that it should have gone. This is my son's first offense, had never, ever, ever been in trouble at all. He's a junior in high school, and they kind of threw the book at my baby. And so I am now, as an employee, trying to advocate for my son. And it's been a very interesting journey so far. So that's my story. That's kind of where I am without going all the way into detail. But you want to go next, Annalise?
Yes. Okay. So just last year, my daughter was running track at her middle school, and the coach didn't want to put her in a race that she was more familiar with than other athletes at the school. So none of them were hurdlers like my daughter. And I reached out to the coaches and wanted to talk to them, and they were saying that they wanted to give everybody the opportunity to be able to try this particular race. And like I told them, in track, it's really about skill and time, and that's what qualifies you for races. Because she wasn't allowed to do the race initially. They had other athletes doing these particular hurdles that were falling on the hurdles, going around the hurdles. And I'm like, well,
around the hurdles?
Going around, right?
You're supposed to run and jump, right?
Run and jump, but you are actually not jumping running the hurdle. You're actually running around it. Oh. And so I reached out to the coach. She felt like I was overstepping. So I reached out to the athletic director of the district. And I reached out on my personal email. And this is why I say you have to remain very professional when you reach out to people. So I'm going through the right steps, and I'm reaching out via email as a concerned parent, already letting them know that I took those proper steps to reach out to the coach.
Followed the chain of command.
Followed that chain of command. And instead of that athletic director of the district reaching back out to me on my personal email, he actually reached out to me on my work email for the district.
How did they even know that you were an employee?
Never, ever let them know that I was an employee. So I guess conversation must have came from the school. And and even reaching back out to me, I guess to me, it felt like a bullying tactic to say, hey, I know you work in the district. Hey. And so I still didn't respond to him from my professional email. I said, okay, I'm just going to reach back out to him on my personal email. And we set up a meeting to meet with each other the following Monday morning. So I thought that the email was actually going to be over the phone because we never ever set up a place or a time. So I was waiting on this phone call around 11 something, my lunch break or my conference period. I think it was my lunch break. And I called his office, and his secretary told me, well, he does have a meeting this morning. I said, yeah, it's supposed to be with me. She was like, well, let me reach out and find him. And she called me back. She said, well, he said that he's at the parent's job.
Wait. What?
Yes, he was sitting in my principal's office.
I know you're lying.
It was two of them. Two of the head coach athletic directors.
You are lying.
Both sitting in the principal's office, waiting on me for the meeting. Never told them where I worked, never gave them my professional email address, but they were sitting there, and I politely said, we won't be meeting in here. I did take them down to my classroom to have the meeting, but that just showed me it was almost like intimidation. Yes. I know where you work. Mm-hmm. This is a bullying situation. Like, hey, don't overstep your ground because we know that you're a district employee with us. So
wow,
that was my, yeah.
Well, I can't even move past that because what the hell?
Yeah.
Did you even ask, like, why are y'all here? Why are we doing it this way instead of?
What? I was so taken off guard when I walked. Walking down the hallway, I'm like, I know they're not at my school. That's the first thing coming to your mind. Then I walked into the office, and the secretary of the school was like, oh, yes, they have a meeting for you in the principal's office. And I looked in, they were sitting at the table. She wasn't even sitting in there. And I know she had to be so familiar with who these gentlemen were because she had a purse in there open on the desk. I'm like, oh, y'all know
friends
really well.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just trying to think about what was the conversation like when you said that you were coming up to the school to meet with one of the teachers at the school, like, hey, Miss So-and-so, we'll be meeting today with you. I just wanted to know what that conversation was like, because she never told me like, hey, I heard you reached out and we're going to be having a meeting. It was, yeah. So
I am speechless because it's personnel. Like what are we doing here? And she was wrong on so many levels.
She was wrong.
And it's so, that's those fine lines that we cross them, but it's okay for some people to cross those lines, but you better not. But that was kind of like you said, get back in line. Who told you to get out of line?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I don't even think nothing can top that.
That's the new definition of I'm gonna pull up on you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And check you.
And
Right.
attempt to check you.
And fall back in line.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Next.
Well, my journey began, the last day of school. And my child called me. She was so excited the days before, straight A student, a child that's never been in trouble, takes pride in her work. She takes pride in everything that she does. She called me in tears to let me know that one of her teachers on the last day of school, the last day is a half day, placed a 0 for her final exam grade that was previously an A, straight A's, that was previously an A, and didn't tell her. She asked if the teacher reached out to me, didn't notify me or her father. Just put a 0 in the last day of school, didn't ask her any questions, didn't talk to her, nothing. She went to the class to try to talk to the teacher. He would not talk with her or speak with her. She found out through friends that he accused her of cheating without any investigation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Last day of school, half day. So my husband and myself went straight to the school. When we talked with the gentleman, we recorded him. He didn't know what had happened. He didn't know. It was hearsay. He had no evidence of my child cheating. Didn't know the part that she played in the cheating.
Mm-hmm.
Later found out the kids were allowed to have cell phones out during this particular exam. All the teachers that taught that particular course all had the same exam. Just no approach or no thought into what he would do in the future to change things.
Mm-hmm.
And just expected my child to take a 0.
Wow.
A child, straight A's, going to college in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just no thought, no empathy, no investigation.
Mm-hmm.
He conducted this investigation on his own without the knowledge of his administrators as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So have they had any prior run-ins?
No prior run-ins. The teacher is a bit comfortable with the students. My child was a bit uncomfortable in class several times with this gentleman, but she asked us not to get involved in fear of repercussions from him.
Oh, wow. That's scary.
Yeah. So we met with the gentleman. He was really confident in his investigation. Again, a recorded conversation. No empathy, nothing. My child was not the one who cheated. She'd already taken her exam, turned it in. Some other kids, because they had their phones out, what children do, and what teachers like me, you avoid that. You don't let them have their cell phones out.
No, especially on finals. Why do they even have a phone?
10 steps ahead of the kids. Even a reading exam in my classroom, I have very strong classroom management. And my kids understand the expectations, and we have a mutual respect for each other. So even in my 5th grade classroom, things that are recurring in my class, his class, aren't happening in my classroom. So like I said, she was not the one that cheated. A friend sent her a few questions on Instagram in another teacher's classroom, and she provided answers for him. So that's how her name was involved. But again, after that event happened, later that day, parents began to call me to let me know that he was doing an investigation, because when he realized this was not okay, and my husband and I were not going to sit with it, he began to call the kids and pressure them to tell my daughter's role in this cheating scandal after the fact.
And this is still without the knowledge of his administration?
Without the knowledge of his administration.
On the last day of school?
On the last day of school. And I was working in the district at the time, but just a slap in the face. You know, my parents or my kids, I don't give any, even my 5th graders at the time, I didn't give them 0. It's just no reason. That's just not how I teach.
Right.
It's not how you hold children accountable, and it's just not a best practice for kids. So it was just disheartening to see this happening at the high school level, and truly surprising.
So did the 0 stand? What did you say? What kind of conversation with admin? What did that look like?
Admin called me in. We had a meeting maybe about a week later.
During the summer?
During the summer,
okay.
Yes. And she had to retake the exam, which I was okay with, because I am not a parent that believes that my child is an angel and kids aren't kids. And I needed her to learn the lesson. So my issue was not with the punishment, it was the actions of the adults. So she had to retake the exam. She didn't get a good grade on it. Her grade wasn't as high as it was, but I needed her to understand that there are consequences to your actions and to remember to surround yourself with people who are like you. It's a life lesson. So, again, not the best way to handle the issue, but my issue is truly with that educator that just dropped the ball on about 20 kids that day.
20?
Yeah.
So 20 kids got zeros that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're the judge, jury, and the executioner at the same damn time.
That's crazy. You know, we kind of talked about cheating a couple of weeks back because now the kids, it's not called cheating. It's called we're helping each other, right? And so I think that's one of the reasons I'm kind of adamant about now. Like, man, just do the work in class. And whatever you don't finish, just leave it here. I'll give you time tomorrow.
And it was disheartening. I even had a parent call me that day who was being pressured to tell my daughter's place in the cheating scam. And she said, I just let my daughter take an L. And I thought, my daughter's going to college in a couple of years, and she's worked her ass off to get to where she is, and we worked our asses off to be where we are. So we're not taking an L. And how many of us are taking L's?
Too many
people that look like my daughter, or is everyone taking it? Because we're not taking it.
We're not.
And we don't even. And he even mentioned that during the interview that I had. I mean, the recording that I have on my phone still. They said she needs to take her L. Sir, I'm not sure who you're talking to, or what you're referring to, or what an L is. You are talking to professional parents, parents who have worked their asses off to get to where they are, and my daughter isn't taking
he was real comfortable.
Yeah, and confused. Comfortable and confused. But hopefully, good luck in life, and, we're praying for you, brother.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. So I think with the kids, this whole cheating thing, right? And we talked about that in some department meetings in my respective school district, that we're giving the same exact test across the entire district, all right? Same exact. We're not shuffling the questions. We're not changing out the stories. The questions are on the test. And there was one incident we had not too long ago, and the kids, the scores were amazing. And we were like, what the hell? Y'all did y'all thing. Like, we're all like hyping the kids up, so proud of them. Y'all did a great job. And then one of the kids kind of, they get to class, they get to talking, they get to running their mouths, and they tell on each other. That's why I don't understand why people do dirt with kids, because kids be running their mouths. So I wouldn't give kids the answers on anything, because teachers, these kids are gonna run their mouths. They are not loyal to y'all at all. And the kids were like, we cheated. Like, they didn't lock the browsers down. So taking the test, the test on the computer, we just opened up other tabs, and such teacher wasn't paying attention because they were at their desk on the phone. So we just kind of was opened up another browser and Googling the answers, or Chat GPT and the answers. And we found the whole entire test on Quizlet or Quizzes or whatever it was. And I said, what the hell? Y'all got us around here thinking that y'all got this superb data and y'all cheating, or as they say, helping each other out. So we got live Google documents going on. We got Google Meets, which I thought not Google Meets. What is that little app? Hangouts, Google Hangouts, which I thought they suspended, but I guess they didn't, because now the kids signing in to Google Hangouts. Hey, number 3 is this, number 3 is that. And a little icon, a little pop-up window down in the corner. So if the teacher gets up, you're only looking at the screen. You're not looking at what they got at the very bottom corner, where they got the little Google Hangout, and all of them done joined the Hangout sharing answers, because it's the same test at the same damn time.
And we're not monitoring. Some of the kids aren't being monitored.
So, yeah, that's crazy. Okay. All right, Miss Angela, what you got?
All right. So my story is from December 2019, and my experience was having a 4th grader at 10 years old being arrested for a terroristic threat. So, of course, that shook my world tremendously. And his terroristic threat was, brace yourself, oh, I hate my teacher in this school. You know what? I have a cousin that's a hitman for the government, and I'm just going to put her name on there, and the principal and the librarian, because I just hate them because they're always picking on me. And that was grounds for his terroristic threat. He had to spend a night in juvenile away from his parents at 10 years old. So that's my experience. And then having no support, of course, because he was in the district, from anyone. There was no compassion, no understanding. And that goes back to my saying of it was hard for me because I know certain things that are going on, like even at my school, and I know real threats that have been made, like tangible, that like you have guns, you brag that me and my dad go hunting and here's a picture of us killing animals and all of this type of stuff. And nothing is done about that when you say that you want to kill all of your teachers. But my 10-year-old, he's the threat because he's going to get his cousin that's a hitman for the government to come take y'all out. He's the threat. That's it.
And with your story, because you came on an episode prior last season and talked about your story in detail. But what I remember from your story is that this is a teacher that your son had been having issues with.
Yes.
A brand new teacher, fresh off the stage.
Yes.
You and your husband had been having plenty of conversations and plenty of meetings about this teacher and this incident. So this was something that did not happen out of the blue. This kind of was a buildup.
It was definitely an escalation. And with this experience, I felt like I learned as a parent, trust your gut. Like tremendously, because I'll never forget, it was a brand new school. We went to meet the teacher. When I walked in for meet the teacher and I looked at the kids in the classroom and I looked at the teacher, I said, I don't know how this is going to work.
Tell us what that looked like.
This is a GT class full, when I tell y'all, full of Black and brown boys. I had never seen so many boys in a GT cluster class just for one, let alone your Black and brown boys that are dominating a GT class. So the balance, you have more boys in the class than girls. They're Black boys and they're gifted. Now, as educators, we all know that takes a special skill to navigate that type of room of having gifted children for one, and then gifted Black and brown children, and then them being boys on top of all of that, because we all know what that energy comes with.
Right.
She was fresh out of college. And I'll tell y'all my exact statement that night. I said, we got PWI coming to teach HBCU kids. I don't know how this gonna work.
Yeah.
And it didn't. It didn't. From like the start in the second week of school, it did not. It was phone call and email after email. It was like, oh my God, what is happening? Then talking to other parents, it's like, oh yeah, we have issues too. And how it got so bad, she didn't even know who the Black boys were in her class. We were getting emails as parents about what we thought was our kid, and it really wasn't, because she was getting them mixed up because she didn't even know their names. And the kids, mind you, they're gifted kids, so they peep game. They start having conversations amongst themselves. She racist. She racist. She pulls her card and she cries to her admin. I don't know why they think I'm so racist, and I'm not. I'm not. The principal, of course, begs her teachers, we've did observations and we don't see anything that would lead us to believe that she feels differently about, kids that don't look like her. But the kids feel it, and nobody ever addressed that, that these kids are in the room with her for hours upon hours, and you can't tell them what they don't feel. How does that feel for I'm not even going to say a Black child, any child that you're, especially elementary. We know that, secondary level is different. Right. We have 100 kids. You have a classroom of 22 kids. I'm in your room with you at minimum 4 hours, and you don't know my name, and it's November. You still calling me Trey?
Because y'all all look like Treys. What you mean? Ain't that what they name all y'all?
And my name is, Jaden.
The easiest class to have. That is the creme. That's the class you want. That you don't have to do much in the class, but teach.
So
if even that, because they're ahead of you.
They teaching you, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. So it was a struggle year. Like I said, from beginning all the way up until that December When that event happened, I was in the middle of class and I got a phone call from my husband saying, you need to leave. And I said, what's going on? Go to the school. They're calling the police on our child. And I'm like, in my mind, like, was there a fight? Did something happen? Did somebody get injured really bad? Like, what is going on? No, they're arresting him for making a threat. And at this time, y'all, I am like 7 months pregnant.
Oh my God.
I'm like nerves racing, trying to drive. Like, I don't understand. I'm not getting all of what's happening. You know, it was a mess.
So let me ask you this. And I can't remember if we talked about this on the last episode when you told your story. There was no call to you to even say, hey, this is something that occurred. We're going to investigate it.
No.
By the time they called your husband, they had already made contact with the district attorney.
Yes.
And the district attorney picked up the charges.
Yes.
On a 10-year-old.
Yes. Yes.
Without them even notifying you that they were even contacting.
Oh, Jesus. How the phone call was relayed to me from my husband was, hey, we need you to come up here. We've made contact with the district attorney and they have decided that, you know, they want to proceed with pressing charges against your son for doing X, Y, and Z. You can come get him now so that you can be with him when the police come, or he can just come to the house. It was they did the investigation all without our knowledge. They hosted their own in-house investigation of what occurred.
Why is this angering me? I've never heard this story before, but I'm getting so angry all over again. Like I'm having to
And every time that I have to tell it, it is so triggering because again,
I'm sorry.
As an educator, we all know we get to see different things that are happening on our campus. And I'm like, you know what? I remember how y'all did my baby.
Yeah.
But why that's not happening for him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this is when it's warranted.
Absolutely.
But we're just, we talk to the parents and, it's not that big of a deal. Shawnee's going through a lot right now.
Yes.
So we're just going to work with him. And, he didn't really mean anything by it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he showed you pictures of guns and I know that he told you that hunting season started next week and you were first. But
I'm sorry.
He just didn't mean anything by it. But your son, he definitely meant that. He meant that his cousin was going to send a letter to the government and he coming to get y'all.
So something else that I remember, and I always do this, and my listeners know, I have a whole list of questions and things I be trying to stay on topic, but it never works out that way. But something else from your story, and I think of all the things that I've experienced in my 20-something years as an educator and things happening to my colleagues and things happening to my colleagues' kids, this story, every time I hear it, is what fuels my passion for advocacy, because there are kids in situations like your babies, in situations worse than your babies, who do not have the parents that are even knowledgeable or close to being knowledgeable about what to do to fight for them. And that burns me up. And so what I remember from your situation is you telling the story of y'all having to leave him. And I'm getting eyes watering right now, just thinking about having to leave your 10-year-old because the people that you trusted him with during the day that are supposed to be here for kids, that are supposed to be here to have the kids' best interests at heart, let this happen to your kid. And I think something else that pissed me off the most about your story is that one of us assisted. One of us assisted in that happening.
Yes. And that was the heartbreaking part, that I'd had communication with this administrator, feeling like she understood my child.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we had a conversation, whether it was with me or with my husband, it was, he's fine. I'm just going to have him sit in the office with me for a little bit. It was never anything to make me feel like you don't have my child's back.
Because to you is the culture. And she act like she understood that it was, she knew that there were microaggressions going on.
She acknowledged it.
Yeah.
And that was the part that was so triggering for me. Like, I felt like the knife was in my back so deep that I froze. And when I say I froze, y'all, it was like my mind couldn't even process how to go forward and move quickly with, this is what you need to do. You know, you need to start navigating this. And, you know, like even with your son's story, I so admire how fast you were on top of it. Because for me, I was so caught up in emotion for so long that by the time I got out of my emotions, you know, the whole paperwork game had passed me by.
God damn.
That whole 10-day thing. By the time I could wrap my head around what was happening, it was like, well, sorry, you missed that 10-day appeal process. So it is what it is.
Oh, my pressure is going up already.
And I didn't know how bad she was not for the cause until we got our lawyer. And our lawyer was doing his investigation, and he said, hey, he calls out her name. He says, how are y'all with her? It's like, oh, you know, she's been trying, you know, we understand that she had a role that she had to do. He said, she is like really going in on your child. She's definitely not for him.
May I ask, I'm sorry to cut you off, was your lawyer a cousin?
Oh, y'all, and let me tell you, here's the thing. Lawyer was not a cousin.
Oh.
So that's what really made it hurt. It was like, you got somebody that don't look like me telling me that the person that look like me is not on my side. And y'all know I'm Angela for a reason, because I ride for the cause all day. My people gonna get my money. But I knew with this particular area that I was dealing with, I knew what faces they respected.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I brought my cousins and them in to fight this battle, it would have been a little harder. So I had to go and give my money to the other side to make this problem go away. But luckily with this one, you know, he did seem pretty supportive, and he called some stuff out for what it was. And ultimately, we did get the charges dropped, but not without the punishment happening. So in my mind, it's like, I don't really know what I paid a lawyer for, except for it to not be on his record, because we still went through all of the punishment process, which I didn't know that the whole arrest process is totally different for a juvenile in Texas versus an adult. So with an adult, we do have the right of, you are innocent until proven guilty. With the juveniles, no, you are guilty until you come back to court.
Jesus Christ.
Because I didn't understand the process of, why does he have to go to jail? Like literally, y'all, jail with 15 and 16-year-olds. You put in my baby, the 10-year-old, in a facility with people who have did some real stuff. Like, these are teenagers who, I cut somebody last week. So I'm here. You putting him in here because he, in my mind, y'all, he had an imagination and he trying to, excuse my language, shoot the shit with his friends, you know, like, oh, I'm tough. Like, and y'all, the whole concept with my cousin is a hitman for the government. His cousin's a Marine. So he wanted to give a hit list to his Marine cousin. And they really thought that the Marine was going to come down here and, I guess, you know, do something.
So what happens after that? So after he spent the night, what happened? What happens next?
They put him on probation. And this is unfortunately during COVID time. Because this happened December 2019. Y'all know what, January, the world all went to hell 2020. So we had to be on probation for almost a year with doing check-ins. Then went in to do drug tests. You know, at that time he was playing Little League football, having to get permission from a probation officer. Like, can you actually go participate in this football game? Because you can't leave this jurisdiction because you're on probation.
But I think my question is, after they did the investigation, did they tell you what the investigation looked like? Because after they realized you guys did not have anybody in your family that worked for the government, and after they proved all of that, you know, that should have just dismissed the entire case.
And it did not.
It did not.
Not at all.
It got worse.
Because they were, well, the kids heard him say it. They got, you know, kids to write statements and all of those things.
And that's, again, parents, when y'all have to teach y'all's kids, and I know this sounds crazy to y'all. In my house, it's a rule. you do not sign anything, you don't write anything, you don't sign anything, and you really damn near don't talk to anybody until I get there. Just know that I'm coming, and I need you to sit still until I get there. Because when these schools have your kids write these statements, and they don't word it to them like that, right? They just say, give them a piece of paper on the a pen, a pencil on this cute little piece of paper, and say, okay, write down in your own words like everything that happened. Guys, they're using those things in court. They're using those things to either build cases against your own child or build cases against other children. And so you have to be very careful when telling your kids to instructing your kids on what to sign and what to write. My kids know you don't even sign your name on a damn detention slip until I get there to look at it, because I don't know how and what your signature is going to be used for. And even with my son's incident that happened, I think with all the emotion and things that went on, my son just sat down and did it. And even though he's 16, and I'm like, boy, did I tell you? He was like, well, dude, it's in my face, like making me. And it's not to bring the card in there, but I'm gonna pull the card out. You got this white man. We already know how our kids, especially in some of the areas in which we live, and I think we all kind of live in different districts, different areas, but they're all kind of, elite, well-to-do areas, but where we are not the majority in the school system. And it was intimidation. It was intimidation. Even though he knew the rules, even though I taught him the rules from the day he could write, in that moment with emotions high, everything, he wrote a statement. Now, luckily, there was really nothing in his statement that could, help him or not help him, but the fact that he did it. And so going back to your situation, because the statements played a major role in that case getting dropped. We went all off topic, y'all. We done switched the topic of the show. Sorry.
And okay, so statements played so many roles, because it also played a role in him getting arrested and played a role in him getting out. So just like you teach your kids, it was the same in my house. That first off, it was, you don't even talk to nobody because,
can't trust you.
Exactly. Cannot trust you. So when they called my son in for their investigation without our knowledge, it was the principal, and they already had the campus police officer there and the assistant principal. And they questioned him. Hey, did you say this? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Nope. They said, we asked him, 3 times, hey, this is what kids are saying you said. Did you say it? He stood by it. No. Unfortunately, what we did not teach him was people are manipulative. Mm-hmm. And they're going to play on what they think is a vulnerability for you. So they checked it and they realized, you know what? We're not getting anywhere with him. He's already got his guards up with us. Bring in a different face. They brought in the counselor. The counselor came with a totally different approach. She starts off with story time with him. When I was a kid, I did something really, really bad.
Oh, God, I'm getting so furious.
And I really thought I was going to get in so much trouble. But, when I just told the truth, I actually didn't. I did not get in trouble because I told the truth. And, I just want to give you that opportunity that I'm sorry, y'all. I want to give you the opportunity to be in my position, and you can feel like a good person because you told the truth. So tell me, did you say this? He bows his head. Because I know my child, that's what he does. And he says, yes. She says, okay, I just need you to write it down for me. Just write what you said, and it's going to be okay. He wrote what he said, and after that, case closed.
DA picked up the
DA's picking this up. So that was the part that, like I said, we dropped the ball. That now I know, okay, no, I got to teach you about how people come at you from all angles. It can very well be the one who's smiling in your face, who's actually stabbing you in your back. So he got to learn that same lesson at the same time that I did, because the assistant principal was doing the same thing as well. So we both were getting stabbed and not realizing it until it was over. Like, wait, what? He's confused and he's crying like, but she said I wasn't going to get in trouble. I'm confused because I'm like, You said you understood my child and you had my child back. Like, what is happening here? Now you're sitting at the table across on the other side, you with the other folks, telling me, well, this is just what it is.
So moving forward a little bit, because I told you this the last time, I feel like this is something that we could talk about for hours because it was so many layers to this story. And unfortunately for you, 4 or 5 years later, you are still dealing with the emotional, the post-traumatic stress of the situation for your baby, having to, you and your husband, his dad, his protector, having to leave him in this facility with these other people. And
Definitely.
still to this day having to deal with, I don't want to speak out of turn, but just you're still dealing with it. And
Absolutely.
I think that it's important for us, especially like when we talk about, a lot of us are positioned, we talk about why we teach, where we teach, all right? Like I said, again, we're all from different areas of the city and teach in different districts and in, elite-ish neighborhoods where, our people are there, right? But our people are not represented in the school system. So we put ourselves in those buildings so that those kids will have somebody that at least they can relate to and somebody that'll have their back. And so in this case where you're like, especially if you're talking about an administrator, right? Mm-hmm. If I see an administrator, my first thought is, okay, my people, somebody is here that my kid can go to if there is an issue, if there's an incident. And so for your people to, like you said, stab you in the back, turn on you, and then sit at the table with the others while this is occurring is, man, I can't tell you the anger that brings up in me. And it's something that I need people to know because I don't know where this administrator is right now in this world, right? Where she is in this universe. I wish she could listen to this and hear herself in this story and know that because of her actions or because of her lack of advocacy, 4 or 5 years later, I wish you could sit down and talk to her and hear what you're dealing with right now as a result of her decision to not support your baby in that moment.
I 100% wish that I could, because to see someone and to know that you portray yourself as for the kids, I need you to recognize that you are a part of the breakdown of Black boys in the education system. It's you. Like, let's hold the mirror up, because when I look at my child and I see the decline and I see that you are not the same person. You're not the same person at school. You're not the same person at home. And it's all because of a trust issue. Your trust has been violated. You don't even have the same trust for your parents anymore because you feel like, why y'all couldn't save me?
Y'all let them do that to me.
And we're like, there was absolutely nothing we could do. The decision had been made, but son, I did fight for you. I fought to the tooth and nail. I did what I could. But for kids, but that wasn't enough because I still, you sent me to them people. You sent me to go sleep on a cot in a county building. You let that happen. You let that man put me in handcuffs and drive me down the way 30 minutes to go into that facility. So, yeah, absolutely still dealing with it of building the trust back that I got you. And I'm trying my best to make sure that nothing like that can ever happen to you again. But then even at the school system, in the school, it's you can still be yourself. But now he doesn't know who his self is anymore because now he's afraid of, I don't know when I'm going to get in trouble. So now it's just best for me to just shut up altogether. Don't say nothing. Walk with your head down. Don't draw no attention to you because you don't know who's looking at you. And when I tell y'all before, this is a child whose personality lit up the room immediately. This is a child who, he had his little following of friends. He was always front and center. This is a child who decided on a whim, you know what, I want to run for class president for student council on a whim. And the next, it was like, really? They say, but the elections are tomorrow. It's okay, I got it. and you made a speech yourself and you did it and you won. But now you're a totally different person. So I would love for her to see that she participated in this, that this is a child who could have had a totally different experience. Granted, all kids make mistakes, but it's what do you do with that mistake? Are you truly making it a learning experience?
Absolutely.
Is it about learning the lesson, or is it just about punishment? Because in that instance, it felt like, no, you just want to punish.
Yeah. And I have worked because of the regression that took place with you guys having to sit out for a little bit and whatnot. I've worked with your baby as far as tutoring goes, right? And so I know him personally and working with him and just the years of trying to restore that confidence, because yes, it's restoring trust, but for him, it's the confidence too, right? Because that broke him. The people that were supposed to be there to protect him broke him. And there was an assignment, and you know I'm not a crybaby, but right, but I'm gonna share with y'all a moment that she and I had. Again, this is years later, right? 4 or 5 years later, and he's working on an assignment for his social studies class where he had to write a speech. And so, you know, me, English teacher, he's coming over and I'm helping him write his speech, prepare his speech, because they were doing like this protest at lunchtime, right? And he was the opening speaker, the master of ceremonies for this speech. And so he did the speech. And in the background of the speech, he had like a Malcolm X track playing in the back. And so she sent me the video and I kind of watched it because, you know, I just watched it and I'm like, okay, I really couldn't hear what was going on, but I'll watch it later. My later was 3:00 in the morning. And my later, I'm not a crybaby, y'all, but when I tell y'all, I sat in the bed and I was bawling because I know what it took for him to build that confidence up, to get up there and speak. And the Malcolm X track in the back was just so symbolic. What he was saying was so symbolic. And I remember texting her, telling her I'm crying because I feel like he's all of our babies, right? And I'm so proud of him. And I told her, he's going to be okay. Yeah. Like, we got him. And the thing about the educators that I work with, the educators that I worked with previously who, you know, tutor, or if I call somebody and say, hey, I got a kid, I'm working with him here, but he needs help here. He needs help in math. He needs help in science. I have a friend that's even a counselor on the side. I'm like, hey, I know your books are full. You know, you're a therapist. I know your books are full, but I got this random kid. I need you, like, please do me that solid. And so when we talk about the village and the importance of a village, especially when it comes to Black and brown kids, boys, it's so vital, because I feel like without his village, it could be much worse. Absolutely. You know? Yeah. And so just to tell her that I'm proud of him and tell him that I'm proud of him every time I see him, and that was, I hate to say it, I don't believe in this, but in a way I feel like it was supposed to happen, because I feel like he has a story to tell. And his story is going to help other boys to never, ever be in that situation again. And yes, as your mama, we can tell you what to do and what not to do. And yes, as the daddy, I can tell you. But it's something about somebody that looks just like me, that's the same age as me, my peer group, telling me what happened to them. Because who's to say this happened to somebody else and they're just holding it in? Yeah. And so when I feel like, I don't know when it's going to be, right? But one day he's going to get that confidence on 10 and he's going to tell his story. And that's going to be his moment. That's going to be reclaiming all of that negative energy that those people in that school did to him. Because something else, and I don't want to tell too much of your story, but when we talk about how our Black boys are viewed, one important thing that I took away from your story when you told it, of the many things that pissed me off about your story, is when you guys went to your district office, your district administrative offices, and you were having a meeting, right? Because they're going to always, the charges were dropped. They're going to always find a way to let you know that they're still in control of the situation. And I remember you telling me your son, and your husband sitting at this table with these gentlemen. And one of the gentlemen told you, your husband, and your son at 10 years old that
he just has to understand that he's a man now. And you have consequences for your actions. Y'all, it was a pause. And we all looked at each other like, who he's talking to? And he noticed our facial expressions. And then he said, well, you know, a young man, of course. It's like, oh, no, you said what you meant.
You meant what you said.
You think that this 10-year-old is a man and should be punished accordingly. Which now that's taking me back to,
Yeah,
you still think we
back.
on the plantation.
Absolutely. It takes you back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah.
B-O-I.
Yeah.
Boy. That's how, okay, I see.
And to me, the boy was to your husband too, because it's like,
And you can't do nothing about it.
because it's my property. This is my table, my property. I run this. And so to get people to understand that those of us that are loudmouthed and talking about the rights of students, to tell y'all, this goes on so much. And Black parents, Black and brown parents, like, we need y'all to partner with us, to understand, to listen to us. Don't fight against us, fight with us, because so much of this happens. And so when we have instances where we're in the place, we're in the spots, we know what's happening. So we're doing our best to protect and avoid some of these things from happening to your babies. But sometimes we can't. And so when we can't, we need y'all to make sure that you're there, because these are the things that are being done. And what makes it hard, and this is I'm moving on to the next topic of conflicts of interest, right? Because both of you guys brought it up earlier. Knowing the things that you know, knowing if you lift up that carpet, that rug, the dirt that's under there. And not to say that you expect special favors as an employee of the school district, but it's like, damn, y'all know, I know what y'all do for other people. Clearly, not to say you should do the same for my kid, but clearly you should show some grace, some mercy, some compassion.
Not trying to hold me to that standard that you're not holding anybody else to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it comes down to power, privilege, and position. Because I have seen, I worked in 3 school districts in my career, and I have seen one story, and I feel like I got to change it up a little bit so it won't be so obvious. But one story, there was a white young lady, Black young lady, and the white young lady and the Black young lady went into the restroom and did some damage. I'm going to just say that, did some damage. And they were both sentenced to sentence. I hate saying sentence. I've been saying it all week when I'm talking about the punishment that we're giving kids in the school system. But they were both given a discipline to go to the alternative school in that respective district for 45 days or 60 days. I can't remember what it was. And the Black girl didn't have the parents with the power, privilege, and the positions and the money. But the white girl did. The white girl was the one who actually did the damage. The Black girl was there. By the time that white family came in with their attorney, and that attorney handed that school district a whole new ass, ripped them a new asshole, baby, that incident disappeared like it never happened on her record. The other girl got sent up the highway for them 45 days. And so when you know that stuff like that is happening, it just makes you so angry. And even going to meetings and having to sit in professional developments with people that you know have a hand in destroying our kids, it's so hard to be professional. It's so hard to smile and fake in your face. It's just so hard to listen to you stand up and give your speeches, your performative speeches, as though you care about kids, when it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And another thing, and I've seen this happen again in the many school districts the 3 school districts that I worked in, principal and assistant principals' kids mess up too.
Yeah.
They mess up too, guys. When they have their kids in the school district, don't think that those kids are around there being perfect little angels. They mess up too. But I tell you one thing, they'll never face a consequence. They won't face a consequence like your kid will face a consequence, because what they gonna do is always have each other's back. And the rules that apply, the policy that apply for your kid, it go out the window when it comes to theirs. And so, again, when I see these principals, when I see these, my babies, and we care about the kids, and standing up making these speeches or sending their little comfy newsletters out on Fridays, it's performative as fuck.
Absolutely.
And that is what angers me.
Yeah. And it boils down to, we aren't taking any L's. Just like at that table,
Yeah.
take that L. Just like with those people coming to your jobs, we're not taking any L's, whatever that may mean. We're not taking any of them.
But they want you
Period.
to. And it almost feels like, now, and I think I need to say this too, because I think I said it earlier, but let me repeat it. Where we all live in our respective areas, we lived there, meaning our kids had the right to attend those schools.
Yeah.
I know some school districts, I think I worked in the 3 that I worked in, if you did not live in that school district, they offer some type of like employee student transfer, employee child transfer. Like, yeah, you bring your kid come to school here too, right? And so some of these school districts forget that, baby, we not here on a transfer.
Yeah.
I'm 100% owner of the house that's in this neighborhood. I pay the property taxes that allow this school to even exist. So,
But what are they saying now? Listen to what they're saying now. I just came from a school district, and instead of people giving the credit for paying those taxes and really belonging there, what you will hear around the school is, look at all of these apartments that they're building.
because they hate us.
Oh my goodness. I have to transfer because there's so many kids coming from these apartments, knowing what kind of kids we're talking about. And they have to understand that those apartments that those people are renting are just as high as those house notes.
Oh, man. Because we're not talking about no community. We're talking about some luxury apartments.
Luxury apartments.
Apartments that are branded as luxury apartments. And I know some of them where I am at are the damn equivalent of the damn high-ass house note that I'm
They
paying. And even like there's a community close to mine that they are now, it's a specific rental community. So they have these big, beautiful houses or these big, beautiful condo looking things, but they're rental communities, right? And you know the racism in your neighborhoods, right? Overt, right? Whatever. They're like, just like you said, oh my God, apartments, or oh my God, rental communities. What are we about to get in here now, right? When, like I have to explain to people all the time, everybody don't want to be a homeowner.
Absolutely.
Baby, let me tell you something. As soon as my last one dot that stage, I'm put that bitch on the market because it's ghetto. Homeownership is ghetto as fuck. I don't want no more parts of it. I don't want no more parts of it. Give me an apartment where I can call the people and say, hey, it's a leak in y'all sink. It's a leak in y'all toilet. This y'all shit. Come fix it. And so, but the perception and the stereotype is that people that live in apartments, people that rent are poor and they are uneducated. Because I know in my neighborhood, we had a damn near race war in my neighborhood because there were some, when they first started building those apartments in my neighborhood, the people were on the Facebook page like, oh my God, this is what we're getting ready to get. The test scores are low, the test scores. And so some of us who are in education that are members of the group, we were like, oh, hold on, let me pop y'all bubble right quick because y'all trying to slug our kids. But here's a screenshot from the TEA. And if we break down dem pops, which I know the regular population of the world don't understand how that works, but for us that do data digs for a living, let me show you who bringing in the low test scores. It ain't the black kids in the apartments. It's some of y'all kids in the $1 million homes that's bringing down the test scores.
And let's not talk about that good old Title I money that we all want our kids to have at those schools because it just brings in more resources.
But I want to be Title I. I want the funds of Title I, the benefits of Title I, but don't you dare call my school Title I because that implies that we're poor. Yeah. But like I tell people, even where I live, where there are $1 million homes, we are Title I. Why? Because when them COVID benefits hit, all y'all asses signed up for free lunch.
Absolutely.
And so y'all want that pandemic EBT. And now guess what that did? That said that, all y'all asses or more than half of y'all asses are economically disadvantaged. Title I.
Yeah.
So it's so much racism that's involved with some of the things that even the parents in the community say.
Yeah. Now,
this is also something that, and thank God this person is near the end of their career, because I remember going to a open house or something, some kind of parent community event at the elementary school in my neighborhood, and the principal, in all her glory, was talking about, you laughing already because you already know what I'm about to say. The principal, you are dying over there. The principal stood up and was talking about the data because, the little report cards come out. So she was trying to explain herself, fight for her life and explain or try to get us to understand why our numbers were so low in this neighborhood with these $1 million houses. We could not understand why. And the lady said, well, it's the kids from the apartments that's bringing the test scores down, with her whole chest, guys, with her whole chest. And they sent this lady, oh my God, the stories about this lady, but the community, because some of us in my community, they just believe in celebrating the principals and they're just so great and they're just so all of this, right? And I remember a couple of weeks ago, they sent out a flyer in the community paper, in the community email, whatever, like, hey, this principal is getting ready to retire. So what we're all going to do in the different sections of the neighborhood, every section or every subdivision in the neighborhood is going to have a theme, and we're going to give her a big old basket because and I remember saying, I wish the fuck I would. I wish I would, because what a lot of us know that a lot of y'all didn't know is that this lady is responsible for the stuff like that happens to her kid.
Yep.
The breakdown in confidence in Black and brown boys and girls. I wish the fuck I would contribute to anything that goes to that. As a matter of fact, I want to be there at the celebration because I want to make sure that she gone. And that hopefully my prayer, and prayerfully whoever they choose to replace them with at the end of the school year is not somebody that looks like her or thinks like her.
Exactly.
That's my prayer. So I said what I said. That's my spiel. Moving on to the next topic. Now let's talk about seeking external support, right? So let's say, like you said, you had this situation. We all have had this situation. When using your resources, the policy within the district that we know, the chain of command, things that we're supposed to do, and you know that, you know what, I'm not going to win this. They are not here for me. How does it feel seeking outside support? Because I'm thinking about you in your school district with the issue that you had, getting a lawyer. Like, how the hell do you come to your place of employment with an attorney? Like, how does that work for you?
It was nerve-wracking because at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I want my job. But you playing with me. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm tethering all the time, like, how far is too far? How in can I really go?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So fortunately, after getting the attorney and actually going to court, we did not have to go that far because he was absolutely prepared. He was like, oh, we going to bring all them kids in. He was like, because these 9 and 10-year-olds are incredible anyway, because I looked at some of these statements and they can't halfway remember who the hell they talking about. They said they called your child some other kid name. So he was ready. But luckily, y'all, here's the killer part too.
Wait, this we ain't hit the killer part yet?
Yeah, it's so many killing points.
Shit.
The shots gonna keep getting fired.
Damn.
Y'all, the district attorney was us too.
Oh, my God.
Wait a minute. I never knew that.
We got to take a pause, guys.
We can't. Wait, I never do that.
The district attorney was us.
Let's. This is the perfect place to pause because now I done started sweating. What the hell? Guys, I'm so sorry. Y'all know we're gonna come back with a part 2. Let's pause, please. Thank you. We'll be right back. This podcast was made possible by producer extraordinaire D. Francis at the legendary Lab 7 Studios in Mo City, Texas.